You're in the Business Insurance Zone with me, Steve Savant, national financial columnist and money color commentator. This week on The Biz, simple and straightforward retirement. And on today's show, outsourcing retirement analytics with our special guest, Jonathan Illig, retirement income architect, all here on the Business Insurance
When
Zone.
it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Well, welcome everyone to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm Steve Savant, your host, and we're broadcasting live to a nationwide audience of financial advisors right here in Fountain Hills, Arizona, home of America's largest fountain. And with me, day 5, wow, income architect himself, John Illig. Hey, John.
Hey, Steve, great to still be here.
Welcome to the show.
Thank
and
you.
If you've missed any of our shows, we kind of did a little special this week. If you got to Monday and Tuesday, we actually imported our consumer show, One for the Money, so that you can understand the language that we're using. I think it's critical to talk the language of a retail client, of a consumer, because sometimes we forget ourselves. We use industrial language. We use acronyms that are so, germane to our world. But we need to kind of think about who are we talking to and what language do they understand. If you've missed any of our show, we just want to really give you an idea, kind of a summary of everything we've been talking about, because it's outstanding. One is we have this unbelievable collaboration with a software technology that's excellent for retirement that we're going to ask you to outsource to us and our team. And the reason we think this is great is because we think we got a handle on this, so much so that we can turn it around, usually about a good 5 business days or so when we receive it. But what's really important is there's no compensation cut for this. So we feel, hey, if you're doing retirement modeling, and who isn't these days? I mean, the boomers are retiring. It's the largest demographic. Yeah. You should be playing in this realm for sure. And John has really carved this out. He's been in this thing almost 20 years, doing retirement on a really huge level. And before I let John loose, and we're going to summarize everything we've been talking with all week, I want you to know I have a blog out there that talks about the 4 pickpocket items that can rob your retirement. And if you haven't seen this, this is a huge piece because those things are addressed in John's technology and his analytics. And so I really want to say those 4 things are hot with consumers. You say, Steve, I haven't seen it. Send it to me. I'll send it to you at just write me, steve@thebiz.tv, and I'll send it to you. John, let's talk about kind of a summary show, kind of pulling it all together. We unpacked it the last three days. Let's try to pull it together and summarize it. We know it's not going to cost us anything to play.
Absolutely.
We're going to outsource all this technology. This report is, the one I have in front of me is 15 pages long by the year. Year by year. So it's a very intense report. Believe you me, most of us do not want to sit down and import this into this system. Talk a little bit about it so we can summarize it and why we should be doing it.
Well, why an agent should consider doing this is simply because you already said it in your introduction, Steve. The boomer retirement market is pretty much the major market right now in our industry. 70 plus million strong, 10,000 a day turning 65. So the Income Architects program is designed to provide a really good platform for agents to either get into this market or make it easier for them to be in the market. Boomers expect analysis. They expect written plans. So the program is designed, first of all, let me say it's not a software program in the sense that it's something that we expect the agent to do. This program is focused around making sure the agent has the tools and the training to explain the retirement income planning concepts, to collect the data related to the client and their hopes and dreams in retirement. They ship that data to us at the Income Architects program. We do all the complex mathematical computer work, help create a solution for the client, and then we ship that solution document back to the agent for explanation to the client. Now, the reason we don't want to just put a software program in the agent's hands, not that there's anything wrong with that, it's that for a lot of them out there, it's very time consuming, it can be very frustrating, big learning curves on learning to use this software. Quite often there's a limited flexibility to take care of unique cases, things of that nature. So by doing it this way, our experts are doing all of this software manipulation for the agent and simply sending the agent back the results of that analysis.
Actually, one of the big complaints, and I've been in this thing for 30 years, think about that, that's a long time. A lot of us are not really, we buy software, we blow serious money, $500, $1,000 on a system, and the learning curve in the tutorial is so steep that we kind of give up and we only do a marginal piece of the software, maybe something that's simple and easy to do. This is why we went this route, because we feel like this is something we need to get away from and return to team building. This to me is, and I kind of like to use this word, SWAT team, selling with a team, SWAT. I like the idea of packaging a team together, and all we have to do is make sure that you understand the information, the data collector. That's what's really big in this issue.
It really is, the data collection, and the agents are already really good at doing that. We just have to provide them with a tool that has all the detail that we need for them to get that data. Part of the real focus here is to keep the agent focused on the client relationship. As you know, working with software, doing all this analysis, it's time consuming, and again, can be very frustrating. So this process is intended to equip that agent to explain the income planning challenges and concepts. We can provide them with seminars, with laptop presentations, with written, whatever they need, really, all customized to their business image, as well as even these fact finders are customized to their business image. They present the concept, they collect the data, they send the data to our income architects team. We do all that complex math and software manipulation, create a solution. We're going to create a solution based upon guidance from that agent. Quite often we're communicating with that agent and we're saying, well, we can go left or right here for your client. You know, what do you prefer? What, even quite often, specific carriers, things of that do you prefer? Then we're able to package that into, like you have here. It's a very good, very detailed proposal document, but don't be intimidated by it. It's 15 pages. Some of those pages are just a lot of what were the assumptions and stuff, but it's organized in such a manner that you can very logically walk your client through it. Here's the problem, here's the proposed solution, here's the results of that solution.
Well, I love the turnkey. I love it. It's really the most efficient platform we've seen in a long time. When we come back from the break, we're going to continue our basic understanding of outsourcing retirement income analysis, because I think team building is the way to go. And don't forget to enroll in IULUniversity.com for the best training, education, and sales support when it comes to life insurance for retirement income.
You're listening to the insurance industry's #1 resource for products, planning ideas, carrier information, and interviews you can use. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Did you know the average 401k runs out of money just 7 to 8 years into retirement? Time Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, and many other publications have warned of the difficulty of saving with a 401k. But what if there was a way to create tax-free lifetime retirement income with no stock market risk? Good news, there is.
You know, living in fear of the next market dive is not the way I want to live my life.
Why would I go out there and take on risk when I don't need to?
I have a lot less stress knowing I can't lose any more of my retirement savings in the stock market.
Call now to receive your free, no-obligation analysis of what this retirement vehicle could do for you, a comparison to your current retirement plan, and a free video that explains this exciting opportunity. Start planning a retirement you can enjoy instead of worrying about future tax increases and stock market losses. Creating income that will last your entire life is the most important thing you'll ever do. Take control of your future. Call now for your free analysis, comparison, and video.
Well, welcome back to the Business Insurance Center. I'm Steve Savant, John Illig. Don't forget, you can request today's material by emailing me, steve@thebiz.tv. And just a heads up, before moving forward with any of the ideas on the show, always consult your tax advisor or legal counsel before, as well as, by the way, don't want to forget my broker-dealer compliance officer if you're FINRA licensed. We're talking and discussing about retirement income analysis and outsourcing it. And one of the things I want you to know is you say, hey, Steve, what are the materials? Well, we've got fact finders, data collectors. I want to give you an actual example of a redacted case so that you can actually see this and get an example of that. And again, just write me, steve@thebiz.tv. I always have to remember our new call letters. So John, let's just continue this because this is huge. There's no compensation cut here. We have a team now that we've assembled to do this. We believe that the learning curve was just too steep. And most people were spending serious money on these modeling programs and not using them.
Well,
that was the biggest issue. Is not that we don't want to make money off, I guess, running a software system out of here, but it wasn't really used properly, and that's why we went this way. We think the team approach is the way to go.
Absolutely. We like to call it a collaboration. In fact, what I say about the Income Architect program is that it's not a software system. It's a collaboration between the agent and between our team. They're going to do their part. We're going to do our part. in order to achieve the final goal for the client. Again, looking at that, and you put it very well, there's a lot of good software programs out there. I've been involved in a lot of them. But for most agents, it's taking their time and resources just to manage the client relationships, prospecting, etc. So we're just simply saying, if you collect the data and send it to us, we can do the analysis. We're very flexible in it. I mean, we can really adapt to a lot of different situations with this. We'll kick you back the proposal documents, and you sit in front of your client, you propose it, you write the business. Quite often what's going to happen, and what does happen in these processes, is they'll sit down perhaps with our initial solution proposal. The client will look at it, they'll review it, and they'll say, hey, could you change this a little bit?
Right.
Great. Kick those changes back to us. We'll produce another proposal document.
Let's just talk about that two-step, because in my original, a couple days ago, I brought up, hey, once we receive the fact finders, from the day that we receive it to the turnaround, that turnaround's about 5 days, business days, somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah.
But now a secondary version, well, the client said, you know, I need to change this and this a little bit. How long for the second piece of the
Well,
second
again,
document?
it varies, depends on how busy we are, but it's usually much, much faster because we've already done all the massive input, we've already done all the other stuff. We're just looking at what is the specific change. Quite often the client, believe it or not, actually wants to see very often more guaranteed income than perhaps we proposed in the first place. But regardless of what that change is, it's usually a much faster process.
And I want to tag off on that just for a second, because I've noticed a new trend, especially among boomers, and I'm one of them, is that people are now starting to say, you know what, can you modify the investment situation, the actual, how you're going to correlate my retirement, because I think I'd like a little bit more guaranteed. I can take it to the bank. I know it's going to be there. Maybe it has a little bit of inflation, right, or whatever, but I want something a little bit more. And this is the new surprise. After 2008, I've seen a new movement go this way, a little bit more conservative, a little higher. I want to have guaranteed. I can't outlive.
Right.
I want to be able to match that up. So when we're correlating expense loads of retirement and matching that up, the foundation, especially as you said all this week, the foundational expenses, and matching that up with a correlated asset, like whether it's an annuity or whatever, those are the things that, remember, it's not that we're selling this or positioning. I've noticed that consumers coming this way.
Well, absolutely, and the consumers are very interested in this, but what we're basically allowing the agent to do with the consumer is saying, we believe you need to put X amount of dollars, for example, into guaranteed income, whether it's some sort of annuity or whatever it might be, but it's based upon math and analysis. It's not something that we're just pulling out of the air. And especially these boomers, that's what they believe in. They want to see some math and some analysis. In other words, they're very responsive to the concept, but they're typically more than willing to commit their resources, their retirement savings, as long as that agent can sit there and say, oh yeah, this is very well thought out, and that's the whole concept here. The difference is that thought out process is very complex math, so we're doing it for the agent.
I was very surprised. I went ahead and I asked some of our top agents that do retirement income, and I mean for a living. That's their main core competency in their practice. I was shocked that about 20% did what I would call true analytics, software, turnkey systems, modeling, strategy, analytics. The vast majority of them were not, because a lot of their clients are a lot simpler. They didn't really need a sophisticated software program. But I've noticed that clients, now I'm backing up, I noticed that consumers really love to see the report. They're finally seeing something, you know, sometimes having it on paper.
Oh, yeah.
Your retirement goes from this vision, this dream, this maybe fantasy to, oh my gosh, here's the reality of where I'm at from a numbers point of view.
Absolutely. They're going to be able to use this report, sit down with their client and say, this is the amount of needed income, this is the amount of desired income you need for every single year of your retirement based upon the data you gave us. Here's how much Social Security, here's how much pension you're going to get, and other things that they give us. Here's the gaps that you have that have to be filled by your retirement savings, and here's how we suggest you do that.
And I think that's going to be the next part of our program, which is, okay, we did all the analysis. Now we've discovered true economic gaps.
Oh yeah,
because we have the traditional things to fill for retirement, you know, correlating investments that go with that. But now I have gap issues. How do I do that? Am I going to have to reduce my lifestyle a little bit? Am I going to have to increase my exposure to the market? A lot of this is incorporated into what we're talking about. all this week. Again, remember, if you're coming into today's summary show, I want you to go back out to our site, to our archive, so you can look at this at thebiz.tv so that you can really get a whole handle on this. Remember, no compensation coming out of your contracts or anything like this. We've put this team together because we believe this is the way of the future and the way we should play in retirement modeling. Well, that's our show for today. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or email me, steve@thebiz.tv. Well, that's the Buzz on the Biz for today. You've been in the zone, the business insurance zone.
You're listening to the insurance industry's #1 resource for products, planning ideas, carrier information, and interviews you can use. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.